Hi everyone, this is week 2 and we are talking about just different options to get some literature and books and reading materials in your house. Last week's video I talked about reading and the importance of reading, so if you missed that, check out the link below and grab that video for yourself to watch. I just want to start off by saying and reminding everyone things that we already know, right? Reading is so important, but it's really important that you have something in your house that your kids enjoy reading. My daughter is really into graphic novels right now, so it was so exciting to find the Action Bible, which is actually like a comic book Bible, and she is very much into reading that right now. So eventually we want to kind of wean her into like the typical just words Bible, but right now whatever she wants to read, we're very happy to provide for her, especially if we know that she's going to be more willing to read the Bible. So that was a fun find here recently. Of course, when they're younger, picture books are a great option. There's even some picture books that have no words in them, so it's just pictures and they just look at the pictures and make up their own story. There's one that we like to get from the library about a lion and a mouse, and it's just pictures and it's super cute. You really focus on the illustrations and their imagination and kind of telling their own story. But you're also practicing the skill of reading a book, right? How you hold a book, that you turn the pages from left to right. It's not like when we're writing, it's a little bit different of a concept for them maybe to grasp. Reading from left to right, sitting still and attending to the book the whole time that you're reading it. We're still working on my 3-year-old with that, to finish the book out once you sit down to read it, and not necessarily reading all the words, but at least flipping all the pages so you get to the end of the book. So they're learning all of those things, even if they're not really reading yet. They're still learning how to interact with books and how to read once they get those skills. Another one that's great for beginning readers are called Bob readers, and they have very predictable words, and they're repeating a lot on the pages, very like short sentences, very easy to read, and that helps your kids gain confidence in reading if they're kind of struggling or they feel a little insecure in their abilities. So Bob readers are great to build that confidence in them. Then there's also things that are just in life, right? Like magazines or newspapers or recipe books. If you're cooking in the kitchen or baking in the kitchen, have your recipe out. Maybe you're old school and use a recipe book, or maybe you have it on your tablet, and then have your kids help read the ingredients to you or read the directions. So something that's showing them like a life application is always helpful. I'm not just mean mom here making you read for no reason, like you're really going to use this in your life. There's also fictional picture books that help them to explore and use their imagination. So just creativity and kind of diving into that imaginative world, if you will. There's also nonfiction picture books, which I think are really interesting. You can learn about a topic. We just got a book from the library called From Milk to Ice Cream, or Milk to Ice Cream, or something like that, and it's actually one of the ones where you push the button and it reads to you, so that's a bonus too. But it's neat to learn a process or learn a specific topic, or maybe about a specific culture or a specific place, so that informational reading can be very interesting to your kids depending on what they are interested in. My daughter is very much into animals, so anything with animals, especially sloths, she is like tuned into and wants to know more about. So there's lots of resources there. And again, you can check out books at your library, you can order books for yourself, but it's just nice to have like a wide array for them to choose from. So you're encouraging them to read as much as possible. There's also the little I Can Read beginner chapter books. We like those in our house. We've got a bunch of Amelia Bedelia and Splat the Cat, and that's just shows them that an author sometimes will chunk information in the form of a chapter, and also it's a confidence booster. I know when I was teaching in the classroom, once my 2nd graders could read chapter books, it was kind of like they were very proud of themselves that they were reading chapter books. So these little I Can Read beginner chapter books also help to build confidence and just get them into that idea of there might be a chapter, so the book is broken into pieces, and maybe I'm going to sit down and read a whole chapter instead of the entire book, to kind of get that into their heads, that they don't have to finish the entire book if it's longer. I talked about graphic novels at the beginning. It's just like a mature reader's picture book. It's kind of like comics. Graphic novels, they just have lots of pictures that go along with the words, and it does kind of remind me of comics. There are comics too that could be appropriate for your kids. Just make sure you are proofing, because there are oftentimes slipped into books things that we don't agree with in our family, so we have to be very selective of certain things. And then lastly, of course, chapter books are a great thing to have in your library for your home, to check out at the library. They definitely promote reading independently. My daughter loves to read at night. We have to give her a time to stop, or she would stay up really late. It helps to spark their imagination, because most chapter books don't have a lot of pictures, so they have to come up with their own like mental images of characters, and they're visualizing the setting and what's happening in the story. And then sometimes you can even find a movie off of a chapter book. I know The Indian in the Cupboard and Charlotte's Web, and there's several movies that have been spin-offs of the book, so you could read the book together and then watch the movie and talk about the differences or which one you liked better. I usually always like the book better because there's just so much more detail, but it's just a fun way to interact with reading. And of course, you want to find topics that your kids are excited about and things that they want to read about, because you're ultimately wanting to encourage them to read as much as possible so that they can get the practice and set up those habits for them, their future selves, so they're not only reading a few minutes a day like the statistic I shared in the first video. You want to definitely encourage them to continue to read, because it is a great skill to have, and it's a great way to keep your brain active, especially as you get older, reading and learning new things. I really love to read for information. So those are just some ideas of potential reading samples you might have in your home. I hope this was helpful. If I missed one, or you have one that you absolutely love and I didn't talk about, feel free to drop it in the comments below.